7:30. Roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Here.
Freehand is here. Mr. Boda?
Here.
Mr. Blackstock?
Here.
And Mr. Horn is excused. Mr. Patsalos?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Alrighty. Would you follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on to the approval of the agenda. The paper you got was a correction on the agenda, was just the number on the resolution. Everything else was the same, but Pam made a new one up. Did you see where that is, Andrew, on the bottom?
Yep.
Okay, everybody else has looked at it. So, did you want to add anything, Cindy, to the agenda on the high tech?
I'm not sure if you do.
I think just for discussion.
Yeah,
should
we
get
can
it
do a
out there.
discussion.
Something came up on this
Right at the
high-tech
end.
computer, so I'd like to add number 8 under, I guess we could call it old business, because they've been in here before and talked to us. Make it number 3 under old business, high-tech.
Call it the replacement of server. Yeah,
Okay, replacement of server.
yeah.
Number 3 on old business. I don't have old business on here.
It's on the back.
It's on the back.
That. Oh. I should look down, might help you.
Was a replacement of what was?
The network server.
Okay, so that's the only addition we have to the agenda. Do you have anything else, anybody? If there's nothing else, then a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the replacement of the server.
So move.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the agenda as presented with the correction. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes of November 27, 2018 special meeting for the budget, November 27, 28 public hearing for the proposed 2019 budget, and the minutes for the December 3, 2018.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes for November 27th, 2018. Also for the special meeting for the budget on November 22nd, 2018, and a public hearing, for the purpose for the proposed 2019 budget, and the minutes for December 3rd, 2018.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support to approve the minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to talk about anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have the C1, November 2018 Rain City Area Fire Authority. We have the C2 is the November 2018 St. Clair Area Fire Authority. We have C3, which is November 2018 Building Department Report. And we have C4 is the November 2018 Revenue and Expenditure Report.
If there are no additions or deletions to the consent agenda, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, moving on to disbursements, we have invoices of $82,462.91. We have accounts payable of $110,579.89. We have a payroll of $2,632.66. We have a payroll direct deposit of $26,345.02. We have EFT payments of $35,432.52. We have a tax account of $5,716.64 for a total disbursement of $263,169.64.
I'll make a motion, we pay the disbursements in the amount of $263,169.64.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we pay the bills. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock,
Yes.
Mr. Boda,
Yes,
Freehand votes yes. Mr. Simons?
Yes, motion carries, we pay the bills. Moving on to new business. ZBA appointment. We must appoint somebody from this board, a trustee from this board has to be appointed to the ZBA. It's a statutory job that has to be filled, and it's down to Mr. Casales and Mr. Blackstock, being as though Mr. Horn isn't here. Angela, are you interested in,
I could try it. I've never done it before. I'll try it.
would you like to try? Okay. Because Herb sits on the planning commission, so that'll work out.
I move that Mr. Gonzalez be appointed to the ZBA.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we appoint Mr. Passalis to the ZBA appointment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have the MERS resolution.
Excuse me.
What's that?
If you look at the cover sheet, we actually have to appoint a trustee to the planning commission and a or to the ZBA and a planning commission member to the ZBA. There are two statutory requirements.
I didn't get response from any of the planning commission. Can we just pick one and appoint them, or?
They have to accept the nomination
Yeah.
of the appointment. We've got pending ZBA issues that are going to be scheduled tomorrow for January. So those, that will have to be taken care of before the ZBA meets next.
So we'll need that person then, by then?
Statutorily, if you don't have the proper membership according to your bylaws, yeah. Your bylaws call it out, actually.
I didn't know I knew we were gonna get the board member, I didn't know it was. How can we get around this?
You have to have a planning commission member on the ZBA. That's not, you can't get out of that one.
So could Herb be the planning commission member until we appoint somebody else?
He could, yeah.
Can we do that, Herb?
That's
Until we get, and that would satisfy,
That's fine.
Yeah,
because he's a
Right,
planning
so-
commission member.
right, your note in there, planning commission member, the first member of the ZBA needs to be a member of the planning commission. The second member needs to be an elected trustee. So however you can fulfill those prior to your next ZBA meeting, which, like I said, is going to be in January.
As long as there's no conflict of being a trustee as well.
No, it's actually in the bylaws, and the zoning enabling act, there's no conflict.
So we can have both these guys for right now be on there, and that would suffice us.
Right. Herb would be representing the planning commission, and Angela would be representing the board.
Okay.
That's how the bylaws are written. It's not
Right.
something I've seen before, actually. It's usually optional, that a trustee could be on the ZBA, but yours requires it.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we appoint Herb to the ZBA as a member.
Of the planning commission?
The
Representative,
Planning Commission, excuse me.
representative of
He's
the
a
Planning
member of the
Commission.
Planning Commission, but he'll be on the ZBA. So we need a support for that.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we appoint Herb as a member of the Planning Commission to be on the ZBA. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Moving on to the MERS resolution. Item 2, I think it is. And what this is what we're gonna do is open up a defined contribution plan at MERS for our township manager. This was part of our contract, but MERS is asking us to have this resolution approved before we can start to enroll her in the plan. So I'll read it. This resolution is entered into under the provision of 1996 PA 220 of the Municipal Employee Retirement System of Michigan. Plan document as each may be amended. Whereas a participating entity desires to adopt the MERS defined contribution plan for its designated employees. Whereas the participating entity has furnished MERS with the required data regarding each eligible employee and retiree. Whereas as a condition of MERS membership, the person to the MERS Retirement Board's power as plan administrator and trustee under Plan Document Section 71 of the MCL 38.1536 as each may be amended, it is appropriate and necessary to enter into a binding agreement provided for the administration and defined contribution plan and reporting of wages and the payment of the required contribution to the participating entity and withholding of the employee's contribution now therefore. It is hereby resolved on the behalf of the participating entity, the governing body of East China Charter Township adopts the MERS defined contribution plan in accordance with the plan section for its eligible employees as described in the MERS defined contribution adoption agreement, subject to the MERS plan document as authorized by 1996 PA 220, as both may be amended. The governing body agrees to the terms of the authorization to execute the initial MERS defined contribution agreement, a copy of which is attached thereof, and is here and which is hereby incorporated and referenced, and I hereby certify that the above is a true copy of the defined contribution adoption at the official meeting held by the governing body of this municipality. This resolution shall have no legal effect under MERS planned adoption until the certified copy of this adopted resolution is filed with MERS, and MERS determines that all necessary requirements under the plan document and adoption agreement and this resolution have been met, and the MERS certifies the resolution below. So that's what I'm offering,
You need an authorization for,
to sign it as the official.
no, the line up above, governing body agrees to the terms of and authorizes.
That would probably be me as a supervisor.
Okay.
And this is only for Cindy, correct?
Only
This
for
is
Cindy.
applied to Cindy.
Right,
I'll
Cindy?
I'll support that.
Somebody make the motion?
I made it in the resolution, and then Angela supported. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Simons,
Yes.
freehand votes yes. Mr. Boda,
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock,
Yes.
Mr. Patsalas,
Yes.
all affirmative.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to DT rezoning recommendations, Planning Commission. You have that before you. Herb, do you want to talk on this?
Sure. Detroit Edison, as we all know, was constructing a new plant. The easiest way to describe it is if you can see the map across, see the dark gray area that's in the lighter gray area, just below what is our, I guess, our hospital zone, or the purple. That's roughly where that facility is going. It's zoned properly, but they needed an additional amount of the proper zoning to the north of that. I don't know what the strip width is that we've approved, but we've approved it at the planning commission level to be rezoned from the I-1 to an I-2. According to their plan, there's not even any equipment going in that zoning. It's actually a retention pond, I believe, and
Cooling towers are gonna touch that, I think.
they'll just barely touch it, but we
Yeah.
approved it at the planning commission level, so. They're still remaining, or maintaining, and I can't read that in that print, but you can see it's almost 1,600 feet from the north property line to the edge of that rezoning district. I think it's a 1,600.
The planning commission has recommended that the board approve this.
Yes.
So I guess we need a motion to approve the,
I'll make a motion that we approve the planning commission's recommendation for the rezoning.
I'll support.
okay, it's been moved and supported that we adopt the planning commission's recommendation to rezone after the zoning, and we had a public hearing, and it's all been through all the channels. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we're moving on to developing the process fees, and I think I'm gonna turn that over to Cindy. Do you
Okay.
wanna speak on that, Cindy?
Sure, I've supplied you with a revised table. The one that was in your packet, there's only one small change, and it's probably something that might come up and be of most of interest to you, and that's when, if you look at the Zoning Board of Appeals, the new one that I gave you, the base fee for commercial variance request is $500 or $1,000 if the planner is required to review. It's not always the case that the planner or the planning consultant would need to review a ZBA, a variance. Usually that's just the ZBA. But if the board needs any type of input from the planning consultant, we would pass that fee along to the petitioner. And that goes for residential as well. The fee doesn't change regardless of if it's commercial or residential as regards to going to the planning consultant. So that's the only change. But overall, what you'll see in the bold sort of center of the tables are what I propose to be our set fees for the various processes. If you look at the page in the packet that I gave you, you can see our current fees are just sort of a simple Word document. They don't take into consideration the cost of engineering consultant and the cost of planning. It appears that they may have taken into consideration one or the other, but not the both. And, as we go through site plan review and other processes, generally we're sending it out to both engineering and planning. So in short, we're not recovering all the costs. It looks like we're possibly recovering approximately half of the costs for these processes. And these are just pass-through costs. And basically, it's an escrow. So these are based on the fees that our consultants have given us, their base fees, and then per acre, per lot, or per unit. And so if there are re-reviews required, we would have to ask for further funds from the petitioners. But these are base fees, just to kind of get the ball rolling for any of these processes.
Mr. Boda, can you ever remember these being redone?
And this is very typical. If you, in fact, our consultant provided us with his base fees for 3 other communities. So these are very typical. Most communities are very transparent. They'll show this. We can share this as well, so that petitioners know exactly what they're paying for.
If you look at some of these, didn't even have, these ones with X's, we didn't even have fees set for any of these
It
current
just,
fees.
it helps to have something to start with. At least that's the conversation you can have with a petitioner. For example, legal review, you never know what this is going to be, but at least you put it out there so that both parties are aware. If you've ever have easement acquisitions, things like that, you're going to need to negotiate those costs up front as best you can.
Does anybody have any questions about, I mean, Cindy's done a lot of work on
As
this.
I
as you
say,
can see.
I was quite impressed with that one this year.
She did a lot of comparison with other municipalities too to come up with these. She just couldn't, and talking to the engineers and the planners and with their base rates, like she said, what they're charging to do this stuff. At the rates we're not even covering our cost.
Cindy, the sheet you have here that says current fees,
Uh-huh.
is that basically what you moved into the graph?
Yeah, that is what I could find on record here.
Okay.
It's posted at the office behind the counter there, and this is what had been used when people would submit applications.
I see,
Staff
okay.
would use that. And
Thank
so I started with that, but I really dig deeper and had
Expanded on it a little
the
bit.
consultants tell us what it is that they're charging for.
And this is not for the residential, right? This is
Right.
just the commercial?
This is everything. So if a resident has a variance request, they're going to pay the fee
Oh, the variances, yeah.
for variances.
I got subdivision final plat review.
Okay.
We can talk about residential construction probably at the next meeting.
Like, we didn't even have anything for ground signs, wall signs, temporary sign permits. We didn't have anything for that.
And those are going to usually be reviewed at least by your planning consultant, if not your building official, if he needs to defer to the planning consultant.
Okay.
Someone's going to have to look into it, basically. So we need to make sure that we're covering those costs.
Very impressive.
So is there any other discussion on this, or any more questions that we'd like to ask Cindy?
I gotta go home and look at this.
And that was the other thing, the administrative, we've never collected anything for administration, so we've got a building department there that we're subsidizing out of the general fund. And this is, what Cindy's trying to do is put this all together so the building department will work like the water department, that it'll carry itself, if we're not subsidizing it. And
Yes.
probably when those original rates were put out, we weren't subsidizing it.
She's putting us on the straight and narrow.
I'll make a motion that we accept the adopted 2018 developmental process fees as stated.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we adopt the new schedule of rates, fees.
Do you want a roll call on that?
Yeah, we'll do it. Is there any further discussion? Everybody understands what we're looking at here? Okay, we'll do a roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Free hands vote yes. Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
And Mr. Patsalas?
Yes.
All yeses.
Okay. Motion passes. Next under new business is item 5, building official. Again, I'm going to call on Cindy to discuss this.
So actually, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we just talked about. A lot of the processes that are on that fee schedule are going to cross the desk of the building official. They're going to intake all of the applications, and they're going to determine which way it needs to go along with your zoning administrator. Presently, we have an individual who has advised us that he will no longer be able to serve in that capacity. I believe he's been doing that for a while. Is willing to work with us as we transition out, doing inspections, but actually functioning as a building official, he's not going to be able to continue. So in the past, I think it had been kind of combined building official, building inspector, and the pay was based on permit fees. And if you look at these processes, this is all pre-permit. There's no permits being issued yet, so there's really no way to cover the costs of your building official's work and efforts. There's nothing to implore them to go out to a site and do some investigating. There's nothing in place for him to go out and check on work, to do a stop work order. That is the actual function of the building official. So what you're going to want is a building official that is on staff for a set amount of hours a week, is going to spend some time in here during the day, and that is one of the things that your present building official can't accommodate. So that's one of the reasons that he's leaving. So I'm going to recommend that you have a set hourly rate with an understanding of 4 to 6 hours per week based on the workload. And that can be reviewed annually depending on how much work is coming in to your office. And this person will be supported by your current part-time building secretary, who's ramping up and learning all of the things that she needs to know to assist that role.
And this person could be the building inspector also, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and I provided you some supplemental information about the building official, and a little breakdown of permit history for the past 2 years. That's this one that has the building official. Kind of the role of the building official, how it is separate from plan reviewer and separate from building inspector. Although it can be the same person, a building official does require special licensing with the state. And if you look at the 2 breakdowns of the permit histories for the past 2 years, based on the income of the permits, with the township taking a quarter of each permit, plan review at 30% of the permit fee, you can see that in general, with these process fees being bumped up, the cost of this building official is covered within the department. And again, I mentioned we're probably going to revisit the actual permitting fees in the future, so that'll also help to subsidize the department budget.
I'm sorry, Cindy, you said by our new fees that we just approved will cover the cost of the building official?
Right, so all of the functions that are listed there, revenues that come in, we're going to reallocate those to the building department versus
Okay.
just a general fund.
Just the general, okay.
Right, so that we can start to really control and contain and manage those costs.
So we're making it its own department then right now, it's basically what we're doing with the
Correct.
building department?
Yep,
Okay.
self-sufficient, self-funded.
And
so
that's why they
this-
go hand in hand with what
Yeah,
Okay, and what we're looking at today isn't a building official, not the
Right.
building inspector, or it could be
Correct.
the same person.
so the
Could be,
job,
yeah.
right, the job description I have included has all of the functions of the building official. It does note that they can provide inspection services as needed.
And our building inspector is staying on until, as long as we need him.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Hoping to, within the next few weeks,
Right.
moving.
We've had some interest already on it, but we want to make it official that we are looking for a person.
This person would also be looking at maybe revisions and total review of our ordinances. It's probably a good time to do that every now and then, just to
So they will
to stay
report to the
current.
office like 4 to 6 hours a week.
Right, yeah, that's what I saw.
So what we're looking for is, I guess, a motion to authorize the township to recruit a building official as described in the attached job description. In other words, to put it out for,
So moved. And we authorize the township to recruit for a building official as described.
I'll support.
so we have a motion and we have a second to allow the township to go out and seek a new building department official. Is there any further discussion? Everybody understands? All in favor signify by saying aye. Well, then we better have a roll call, because we're gonna be spending money here. Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Simons?
Yes,
Freehand votes yes. Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Petsalas?
Yes.
okay, motion carries, we do that. Okay, moving on to new business, item 6, extend offer of employment, secretary. We're gonna let Cindy handle that
Okay.
one too.
When I submitted to the agenda packet, I had not yet had a chance to have a conversation with our potential candidate, but I have since. And so I've submitted to you a revised request, and that's this one that I handed to you. The request is going to actually ask to approve the extension of this offer at a rate of $20 per hour versus the posted rate of $18.02. And there's a description of why we're asking for this. In short, we had 45 applicants. 3 had some of the qualifications. 1 has all of the qualifications and significant experience, but does have some concerns of moving into a job where she has a long probationary period. So we feel this candidate is extremely qualified, and we really don't want to lose out on the opportunity. This would also bring that person up to the same pay scale as her peers would be in the office.
So we're still gonna call it secretary?
Right, yes. We did clear it with the union. They're fine with paying above grade in the same job title.
So what do we want to do is go from $18.02 up to 20.
Correct,
And it was posted at 1802,
correct,
and they all applied at 1802?
correct.
I'm not sure I followed, and why are we going to the
Right.
$20?
So our choice of candidate may not be interested in the position at that rate unless we can give her some sort of flexibility. Right now, she's got to wait 120 days for benefits, which is a problem for her.
Okay.
Or this candidate. So in exchange, this is kind of separate, but in exchange, this was one solution to that issue. I'm also advocating this because I believe that bringing someone in with equal experience and skill level to those who are already on staff at a lower pay grade is going to create morale issue.
And I'm not questioning
Yeah.
your authority or your ability to read into that, but I would have suggested probably, because of the same hand, where they're coming in with some ability, how do we know they're gonna come in and produce what we want them to produce at that rate? We could have put them on a 30 days. See how you do for 30 days? If you do well, we'll bump you to $20. It gives us a little bit of coverage to make sure that that's the person that you're gonna want, or that that's the person that you're gonna fill that position with. And it gives them an incentive to come in and do what they're supposed to do. And I'm just trying to cover if they come in and it's not the person we look at. I know we have 120 days to make a decision to keep that person or not,
Right.
but I
I
think
don't
as a
know.
little carrot, we could have thrown it out there and said, 30 days, we'll move you to $20 if everything works well in 30 days. Or
That might
2
be-
weeks, or,
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
That might be, I don't know, Larry, how much
Yeah, I
you
like
want to,
that option.
I don't know how much you want to disclose about the applicant.
Well, we haven't really confirmed anything yet. We're just, this person is highly qualified for what we want, and we're gonna save so much on training.
Well, I
Right.
think my point is this person has done work for us.
okay.
So just being aware that we are aware of the level of skill and the work ethic.
Right.
But there's some things we can't vary from, like the 120 days. That's in
Right.
the contract.
I understand that.
So-
But when a person applies at a job, make it 1802 an hour, they know they're coming in at the 1802 an hour. And again, we could just throw a carrot out there saying, hey, if everything works out great, 30 days, you can have it. But again, if you know that this person is qualified and you've worked with
I like
this
that.
person,
That gives you-
then I don't question that at all then.
And this person has extensive training in BSNA.
Yes.
Does this bring our office staff up to the staffing level that we need?
It does.
Yep.
And the person, this job is going to be more versatile than just what we had before as a secretary. There's going to be more duties added to that job for that money.
The job description is much more extensive than the previous secretarial position.
Right.
Correct.
And
I think, had we asked to increase the pay at the initial posting, that would have been harder to understand than, I think, at this point, having a qualified candidate and saying, maybe we should do that.
And again, we do have our, 120-day clause in there.
Correct.
So we still have that. If things aren't working out, we can do it. I just threw another option out there,
Yeah.
that's all.
so what happens with the option that you threw? Just threw?
I'm just,
Well,
no
nobody's made any
one's
motion.
doing
Yeah,
a
that's
motion or
it.
anything,
Okay.
so.
We have no motion yet.
Just by way of information, the job description, if you recall, it really includes all the clerical functions related to what the clerk's job, essentially, and that was critical that be included,
Sure.
so.
I think the one thing that is going to be key for this, that perhaps I didn't put much emphasis on when we were posting it, is that this person will be required to supervise and train individuals, and there are no other staff in your office that are required to do that.
That was in the job description? Or the,
It is, but it's not highlighted, but I think between, Bob's understanding that that's pretty significant.
okay.
So she'll be having a lot of cross-training then between the employees and everything also?
Correct. But this person will also most likely be doing the training of election workers.
Okay.
In fact, I will say this person
And
will.
also organizing other members of the staff to assist during elections and that sort of thing, so.
So I guess the whole thing here is the $2. Well, it's
$0.98.
$1.98. And that will bring this position up to equal, just a little bit less than the other two positions, which will really help for the cross-training and all that. I mean, if they were to go over and cross-train, we would be stepping them up to that.
That wage
pay rate
anyway.
anyways.
Correct, correct.
So, it's whatever the board wishes.
Looking for a motion
To up that
Have-
pay to $20 an hour.
raise up $1.98 to $20 an hour and give
Right.
it until, have Cynthia, hire that person she's recommended
Mhm. Well,
for.
is that what you want?
Yeah, I would like this pay to be tied to the particular candidate. And if that candidate is not willing to accept,
Okay.
then I would
Okay.
not pursue the $20.
That was my next question.
I would
Okay.
keep it at the 1802 and go with
Yeah.
another candidate that we may have.
I'd like to make a motion that, for the position of secretary, that the wage be raised, from 1802 to $20 per hour. And, go with the recommendation from our township manager that, a person that she is interviewed is highly qualified, and give her the go-ahead to go ahead and hire that person.
Okay. We have a second?
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we raise the rate to $20 an hour for that secretarial position and permission to go ahead and hire the person, if we get that person for that qualifications.
Just a question, we're establishing, if the person is hired within the union structure, that does that $20 get baked in permanently for that position?
No, we would probably have a letter of understanding with the union that it's for this particular
Okay.
worker.
And that's not gonna affect the wages as far as what other ones are making? or
No,
anything like that?
no.
Okay. Again, if we can just make sure we do that stipulation.
Yes, and again, this is going to be something that we'll be revisiting very soon with our contract
Correct, yes.
in June.
Because we think there's some restructuring needs to be done in the whole office, and that'll be done at negotiations. Okay, we have a motion and a support. Roll call, please.
Mr. Petsalas?
Yes.
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Freehand votes yes. Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Carries.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to new business 7, cross-connection inspection residential. I guess I can do this one maybe I'll need help from Cindy, but I think I can get it. What we're talking about here is we're being mandated to inspect the cross-connection of the sprinkler systems in our township, which there's roughly 270 of them. So what we've got to do as a board is decide how are we going to charge the people to do this. I believe in here it's $48, am I correct there, Cindy?
I think there are 2 agreements.
Yeah, $48 per completed
Yeah.
inspection. So how are we going to recoup this inspection to the sprinkler people? Do we want to, I think we bill the sprinklers twice a year. So do we want to divide it up? And we should have some administration costs on here too, administer this $48. But what Dwayne is advising is that we hire a company to come in and do this. We have nobody qualified to do this. We do cross-connection inspections for all of our commercial people right now. But now the state's mandating that we do the sprinkler systems.
How often do we have to do that, Larry?
I believe it's annually.
It's-
Annually?
Yeah. They've provided 2 options. The first one is the $48 per inspection, which would be per household with a sprinkler system. The other is a monthly, we get billed and we pay it annually or monthly as a township. So that's the discussion that the board would have to have if they're going to pass that along to the customer on a monthly or a yearly basis for inspection.
So the monthly is we would hire a company and they would go out and inspect and then we would pay that bill and then we'd have to recoup our money through our sprinkler customers?
Well, however this contract is written, they've given you 2 options, a per inspection at 48 or an annual fee.
And we have roughly 270 sprinkler customers. No, this isn't an inspection on the people, it's up to the people to repair it. This isn't repairing it, this is just an inspection.
This is where a sprinkler system is actually connected, physically connected to the potable water
Correct.
system.
Most of them have a vacuum breaker, so you can't have reverse flow. But I guess what we're looking for is how do we want to collect our money on this? I mean, sprinkler people, they get a big break because there's no sewage on it.
If you'd like, we can offer some more details. This was kind of an overview. The department didn't want to make the decision how this is going to be funded. That decision would be up to the board.
Could it be added to our taxes?
Well, it would be added to the, most likely to the water bill.
Put on taxes, inspection for sprinkler systems.
Do they receive a separate sprinkler water bill, or is it rolled in?
They get a separate bill for their sprinkler meter, which doesn't include the sewer on it.
Does it, I mean, we're talking about the billing of it, how, does it make a difference to the front office? Is there an easier way of billing?
Well,
Does
that's,
it matter?
I don't think they've been brought into the discussion quite yet. If the board says yes, pass it along to each customer that has an inspection, then we could bring back the details of how that would happen if you want, or they can just take care of that.
Well, I think it should be passed on to the people that are saving the money by having the sprinklers and not be put into the water bills, because then the other 1,600 customers are paying for it, you know?
Well, I agree. I mean, if you've got a sprinkler, you pay the fee. It's not, well, it's apparently, it's nothing that we're implementing. It's
Right.
being mandated by the state.
We're the responsible agent, so some communities leave it up to the resident to come and show a certificate that they've had this inspection done. We talked about this in the meeting. That comes to be a problem when there aren't enough plumbers that'll come out and do a $48 inspection. So if we can have a contract in place with a company, will please the residents because they'll get their inspection.
Yeah, because otherwise they have a hard time getting somebody to do this inspection that's approved.
That's been a problem in a lot of communities, so they'll hire this company and do them in bulk.
So could people get their own inspection if they could find somebody to inspect it, or would we
That-
want them to go with our company that we've contracted with?
The cross connection, I'm not sure how your ordinance reads for residential, but it
They
would
can
be,
poison themselves if they screw up on a cross connection, they can poison their own water coming into the house.
It could poison the whole system. That's why it's so vital, that's why the state wants it inspected.
And a lot of people argue about the fact it's being inspected every year. Yeah, I agree, they can holler as much as they want, but they're gonna get it inspected.
Or they're not gonna have it because we're mandated to inspect it. So I guess what we're looking for is a motion to say that we want the residents that have the sprinkler meters pay the $48, whether it's a monthly or annual charge. We can research that. Is that what you're saying, Cindy?
well, actually, we're just presenting this for review and discussion. If you want to make a motion, we haven't done the calculations of administrative costs and how it would actually be done.
So it may be like $50 and not 48. Because there's more work involved here to add this to our water bills and stuff.
Right.
So would you like us to just table it now until we?
Well, postpone. You can postpone, I mean, there's no action required, so it's just for information at this point. That's what
Dwayne
was
said?
brought to us.
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe ask us to do that work, and we'll bring back the actual costs estimated per sprinkler, per household, and then the board can determine how
decision.
that should be allocated.
Which would be easier for our girls to do, monthly or yearly?
I'm not
Decide.
sure. I don't know exactly how their system is set up,
Okay.
so,
So I guess I could make a motion to have our township manager look into how we would bill and what would be the total cost, either a monthly or a flat rate, or biannually, or however we want to bill them, and bring us some options, I guess is that what we're looking for? So that would be my motion.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second to allow our township manager to research on how we would bill this, whether it be biannually, monthly, or annually, I guess. Everybody understand the motion? Yep. All right, no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're moving on to resolutions.
Where is this one, right? I don't see it on here. This. It said when you were talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one we're gonna go to right now. Oh, no.
It's not in here. It's not
Oh,
on
that
the
was where our
agenda.
mix-up was. Oh, it's right here,
Yeah, it's on the back.
on the back.
Yep.
We haven't got to that old business.
Right. It's on the resolution.
Well, where are the resolutions in here?
You're right.
I got
Here
two
at the end.
right here.
We
I got two of them right here.
There's one. There's the budget
Okay, we got the two of them.
Yep.
and the meeting dates.
I find it on my packet. Hard to believe, isn't it? Somebody want to read one of these? Herb, you want to read
Yeah,
this
I'll
one?
read
on
this one.
Resolution 7?
Resolution 7-2018 to amend the 2018 budget to increase the general fund, building inspection department, and township capital projects fund. Minutes of the regular meeting of the Township Board of East China Township, County of St. Clair, Michigan, held in the Township Hall on the 17th day of December 2018. Following resolution was offered by myself and supported by someone. Whereas a result of unanticipated changes in revenues and needed expenditures, it is necessary to modify the aforesaid budget, and whereas there is a legitimate need for the amendment of the 2018 budget due to unforeseen changes in the expenditures, and whereas the East China Township Board has reviewed the need to increase the general fund, building inspection department, and township capital projects fund, and therefore be it resolved, the East China Township Board of Trustees approves the resolution to amend the 2018 budget as attached.
Is support, who was the support for that?
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we amend the budget. And this doesn't mean that we're over budget, it just means that there's certain line items that are over, and we have to adjust the budget. We still could have a fund balance, because there's line items that are not exceeding their line items. Okay, is there any further discussions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Freehand votes yes. Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Boda?
Yes.
Mr. Patsalos?
Yes.
That's everyone.
Motion carries. We amend the budget, and this is something we do at the end of the year to balance things out. Okay, next we have Resolution 08-2018, meeting dates. Mr. Boda?
Okay, resolution 08-2018, establishing meeting dates of the Township Board for 2019. Minutes of a regular meeting held by the Township Board of East China Township, County of St. Clair, Michigan, held in the Township Hall on the 17th day of December 2018 at 7:30 p.m. The following resolution is offered by my member and myself, supported by a member. Be it resolved that the Township Board of East China does hereby establish that there will be 2 regular monthly meetings held by the Township Board for the year 2019 as follows. 1. All regular meetings will be held at Township Hall, 5111 River Road, East China. 2. Meetings will be held on the first and third Monday of each month and shall begin promptly at 7:30. 3. Dates of the meetings will be as follows. January 7th and 21st, February 4th and 18th, March 4th and 18th, April 1st and 15th, May 6th and 20th, June 3rd and 17th, July 1st and 15th, August 5th and 19th, September 3rd and 16th, September 2nd closed Labor Day, October 7th and 21st, November 4th and 18th, December 2nd and 16th. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same hereby are rescinded.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept the resolution
08218.
08218 meeting dates. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to old business, the trustee vacancy. The board asked me the last meeting to get a hold of the planning commission chairman. I did. He has declined the offer. How do we want to handle this vacancy request? Do we want to go to other departments within the township? Maybe township, chairs, like we did with the planning commission? Or do you want to go out with letters of interest to take and go through and see who's interested in this job?
Well, in the past, we've always gone to the planning commission, and we've gotten someone from the planning commission, but with the person not wishing to accept it, puts a kind of a glitch in the thing here. I guess we could go to different departments or different commissions and find out. Or take a resume.
Well, a letter of interest. no,
Yeah,
it's-
letter of interest, resume, what do you wanna call it? And have them looked over and see what's,
It's your opinion, Herb.
I'd agree. I'd extend it to other departments, and, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else on the planning commission. There may be others other than the chairman that might be interested. I don't know. I would go there first and then
And go to other boards.
go to other boards and then ask for the public's opinion in terms of whether or not there's anybody that'd be interested.
Well, we've already showed some interest with other people outside of board people, so if the board wants to go keep it within, then we'll do that.
That's my opinion. I would try with other boards.
Well, you'd have to go outside then. You'd have to go outside. I would like to open it not only to our own people, but again, if there's other people that are involved that'd like to go with it and form a 3-person committee or something and just get the letters or information in and just review them and see if we can pick them. We can offer it to our people first, or, I mean, they can give a letter if they'd like.
Because, I mean,
Along
the
with
people that
outside
are on our
people.
boards and that are the ones that are active in the township, so, I mean, if they want to move up, that would be the place to do it, I guess. So you want to do both then, check with our boards and get names, and then we'll narrow it down and have anybody that's interested give us a letter, or is that what, letter of interest, or?
I think that's the way to do it.
I would think that'd be the way to do it. I mean, to sit and, if we offer it to everybody on the board and no one accepts it, we come back 2 weeks later and we're back in the same situation again, trying to find it from somebody from the outside. So if anybody on any other board is interested, they can, again, submit their letter.
Okay. I'll take the letters. Who wants to be on this little committee? I can be on it.
I'll be on it.
Mr. Boda? We got 3. Okay. We don't want 4. Okay, so that answers that. All right, moving on to old business 2,
Are
authorized
you going to
township.
set any particular date when you'd like to have?
Yeah,
it?
by the next meeting, I would say, the first meeting in January, we should have a name. We've only got 45 days, and we've used up, I don't know how many already, 2 weeks anyways, over 2 weeks. All right, moving on to old business 2, authorized township supervisor to sign environmental consulting and technology incorporated contract. What this is this is what we voted on a couple months ago. This is that monitoring system for the St. Clair River. We just need a motion to allow me to sign this. We voted on it.
I'll make a motion. We allow supervisor to sign the contract.
I'll
as
support.
proposed.
We have a motion and a second to allow me to sign this, which we've already voted on this, that we want to do it, so.
Plus the attorney said that it was okay to go ahead and sign it.
Well, I can check it with the attorney if you want me to.
Thanks, I'll think he's an attorney.
We can run it by him before we sign it. So everybody understands the motion and the second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Vatsalas,
Yes.
Mr. Boda,
Yes,
Freehand votes yes, Mr. Blackstock.
Yes.
The motion carries. Moving on to old business 3. This is the replacement of the server. We've been working on this. I think we had people present that, we just got our firewall done. We did our cloud last year. We got our firewall. Now the server needs to be replaced. That was the other thing. And then the other thing is all the monitors. I'm going to let Cindy present that because she's been working with this.
Well, the company that does your service work provided a quote back in July for some of the basic things, the firewall and the network server. The network server is generation 2008, so it's about 10 years old. You've probably heard us talk about its 85% capacity. It does backups daily to the cloud. It's having troubles with those backups. It does incremental backups. And it will no longer support when we go to buy new computers next year because its Windows op system will be outdated and it'll no longer be supported. So all of the update patches and all that will just stop and will no longer be able to function. Windows has it by design by 2020. So the quote we have from the company that does our service work is just under $10,000, and I know that per policy, the board requires 2 sealed bids, or 2 sealed quotes. I'm not sure what direction you want to go in right now. I was just kind of made aware that that policy kind of puts you at that point of under $10,000. If it were over, we would have to do a bidding process. So I have reviewed this. They did come in and do a full network analysis about a month ago. And we kind of did a punch list of the most critical things. The firewall was first. We got the uninterruptible power supply commissioned and running. The next thing is going to be the server. And we do have the money in the budget. It has been talked about. It's just never gotten to the point of actually presenting to the board to get that taken care of. So I'm not sure what you would like to do.
Is this the last step to be able to accommodate all the new computers we want to do
Correct.
next year?
Correct.
This
yeah.
wouldn't be the monitors, no, that would.
No, this
No,
is
no.
just the network server. This houses all of the software that runs the computers. And it provides all the backup to all of our BSNA. All of the data that we take in every day is stored on that server, as well as all of our applications. So
Does this provide for maintenance for the server itself?
that is going to be an additional fee, recurring of $288 monthly for maintenance of that new server.
Do we pay a fee right now for the server, a maintenance fee?
I don't believe so. What they'll do is they'll manage all of the updates and make sure everything is current. Right now, it's kind of on autopilot. That's not the best way to manage, especially when you've got a new server with the op system, and we're going to be adding a lot to it. So I didn't ask that question, but I've not seen any type of monthly fee. But they're kind of picking up in the middle of that server's lifetime. It's been in place now for 10 years, so it's hard to say what kind of maintenance has been in place for that.
We physically will own the server then?
We'll own this server, yes, yep. When we talk about Exchange, this is not for Exchange. We will be looking at Exchange. That is the Microsoft platform that allows us to share information through Active Directory. which is not something that we currently have, but it's a very useful tool, and I think that we're going to find that in next year, we're going to want to upgrade to use an Exchange. You can get a physical server, or we can do it in Office 365 in the cloud. But either way, this would be prepared to move to the Exchange option as well. So it would be ready for the Windows upgrade and the Exchange option as well.
So the Windows 10's not in this then, right, or Windows, is that where we're going?
The new system will have the required upgraded Windows. I have left all of the network analysis back in my office. If you want, I can get it.
But everything we currently have on the server could transfer over the server transparently.
Correct. Yep, that'll be
And-
part of their commissioning costs.
Oh,
Think-
part of the incident, not part of the maintenance. The
No,
maintenance
correct.
would-
This is complete, getting it installed, commissioned, and up and running, and then the monthly maintenance is to make sure that all of the
Then everything
patches
from
and all of the, for all of the different, the firewall, the server, everything is kept current.
And they're a My Deal,
Oh, you are my deal thing?
My Deal representatives.
Well, you're not
You
gonna find
remember
out.
when Mr. St. James was here and presented to us?
I wasn't at that meeting. I was not at that
You were
meeting.
here, Mr. Bowden. Herb was here, were you? Yeah. When was it? Do you remember? Was last summer?
I think it was last summer, last spring.
Yeah, that my deal always seems to be, and we've done that before with, and it
And
always
that's
seems
what
to
we're
be-
saying, we didn't get another quote, because they're the My Deal dealer, they're
Right.
supposed to be the cheapest one, but our policy does say, but, it could be waived.
I think in this situation, they're a specialty consultant. We don't want to be getting a server from somebody else and then have our consultant try and manage it.
Especially when their system has been here so long. I mean, you don't want to involve somebody else in the middle now.
I mean, our phones are in tire shape too, that's a whole nother ballgame, is our phones, I mean, they don't even work half the time.
You're buying more than just a physical object. You're really buying a process, if you will, technical support, technology support, and as such, it's not like just going and ordering a server on Amazon or something like that.
Is, just the question, we're at, you said 85%, our server's 85% full?
It has been running at that, yeah.
Or
Okay.
less.
But does the new one have more than enough
Yeah,
capacity?
so-
Or,
I've got the quote here. 3 16 gig memory modules, 3 internal hard drive. So it's gonna do well and above our needs. Now, the other thing is when BSNA upgraded, that happened before our server, well, it happened with our current server. So BSNA is a memory hog. It's taking a lot of that server space. And what they most likely can do, and we'll talk more about that, is when they commission it, they can do some virtual memory space for some of the BSNA application and data saving.
Well, if it's adaptable to the cloud also, you've got a variety of additional storage capacity, so.
Yeah, I think that the key is that the server itself is not capable of the Windows 19 Office, or the Office 19 and Windows. It's not capable of that transition.
And we've had Comcast in here several months ago, questioning the signal we're getting in here, and they're telling us we're getting the signal. It's our equipment that can't process it. And we're right on the border of minimum for BSNA to work properly. It works so slow.
Are we still going to have to upgrade that with Comcast with the new servers and everything? still
We
might have to
did upgrade it already a little bit with Comcast. We got some more gigabytes. Is that what we got?
I don't know.
I mean, before you got
Yeah, I'm
here,
not sure what.
Yeah, they're assuring us we've got enough. It's our equipment that's not,
Yeah.
doesn't have the
The bottleneck.
capability.
That'd be something that we can ask them to make sure that before all the equipment goes in, to make sure that we have enough gigabytes coming in to handle all the
Right,
equipment and everything
right.
we have, because we might have to upgrade it.
But the only reason, Cindy, we've been talking about this, and then it all came, and this is the last meeting of the year, if we wanted to do something with this money that we have left.
Right.
Otherwise, we're gonna have to rebudget when it's not in the 19 budget, so I suggested that we have this discussion. I know I don't like to put stuff on the thing where we're voting for money, but, being as though it's the end of the year and.
Right, we should use
If we
that.
can, and the other thing that when we met with Mr. St. James, and he's telling us, and I mean, it's a sales pitch too, but they're telling us that this stuff could go up 25% by next year with all the export tariffs that are going on right now.
We've already seen that happening.
And he's guaranteed that he would give us these quotes from July and up till, he just gave it, what, January, or December the 11th? So,
So what's the amount that you're looking for today?
Do you want a
Just for the
copy
server?
of the quotes? I've got copies for everyone.
yeah, let's look at them now.
It's the same one that was given to the
It's
server.
9,800 and something. But I would think we should make a motion to waive the bidding process if we're gonna do it. And then make a motion to accept it.
I'll move that we waive the bidding process
It's got a back page.
for consideration
Oh, it
of,
doesn't have a back page.
Okay.
My copy has a back page. The final number
Yes.
is 9809.
And we said that it wasn't our budget for this year for
Yes.
computer upgrades?
Yeah, we checked with Corinne before we came here today.
You made a motion, correct?
I made a motion to waive the,
I'll support.
All right, it's been a motion made to waive the bidding process because this is a my deal. And we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we've waived it, if we want to do this.
No, shouldn't have been a roll call vote.
not to.
We're not spending any money, yeah, we just waived the bidding.
This one, the next one,
This
to
isn't
actually
for this
purchase
one.
would be in
If-
roll
If
call.
we decide to go with this now, we've just waived the bidding for this.
I'll move that we purchase from
High tech.
High Tech server as well as for the cost of, what's our total cost?
9809.
9809.
9809, as well as a provision for approximate $300 monthly maintenance fee.
Yeah.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we go with high tech for the server, is that what we're, this
the
is the
server.
main item? And the
Yes.
maintenance fee?
So the entire, I'm sorry, but the back is the part that has the licenses, and that $288 monthly. The first month is rolled into the 9808 monthly, thereafter will be $288. And that's the Tech Cloud Server Protection, it's the antivirus, the malware, all of that is included, plus the device controls and all of the patch update controls.
My motion just put up to $300 monthly
Perfect.
maintenance.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Does everybody understand the motion, and is there any further discussion? But there'll be more to come on this later in the year, more updates, right?
Well, next year, we're going to talk about the hardware and the wireless.
All right, so there's any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Boda?
Yes,
Mr. Petsalas?
Yes.
Freehand votes yes. Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, we purchase the server. All right, moving on to announcements. The only announcements I have, the Township Hall will be closed for the Christmas and the New Year's holidays. And I believe it's Monday and Tuesday, and Monday and Tuesday.
yeah, I think so.
And one other announcement I'm going to make is we're, with our asset management committee that's meeting, it's quite populated. The people that are there, we have residents at large are there too. plus the staff. And they're planning on having a board workshop for us on approximately February the 12th, or the 11th. Time is not set yet, but,
February 11th?
yeah. So that's gonna be something that's coming up, so.
The meeting is gonna be on that day.
What's that?
The meeting is gonna be on,
February the 11th.
no, I know, I've got that.
The regular meeting would be February the 4th.
Something management,
Asset management, it's a committee that we have that's studying the water and sewer rates. Herb sits on it and Bob's on it, and I sat on it, was Thursday we met, I believe it was, so.
Yeah.
I just letting you know that that's coming up in mid-February. So no other announcements, so we'll move on to member comments. Mr. Pasalis.
Well, it's that time of year, and I just would like to wish all our residents, my fellow board members, Cindy, our township manager, and all our employees a Merry Christmas, a happy and safe New Year, and hope everybody gets what they wish for. Thank you.
Mr. Boda?
yes, seeing as though this is the last meeting of the year, I'd also like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and let's all come back safe.
Mr. Freehand?
I have nothing. Obviously, extend wishes for everybody, too.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
And I second that. Everybody have a safe holiday and enjoy your family. It's been a great year here at the township, and I think we've got a lot of new faces, and we've got a lot of new energy. You can just see that everything's starting to pull together. I think we're going down the right road here now. I mean, you kind of, as you get new employees, you get new ideas.
Santa Claus is
Yeah, we have a new township manager. I think everything is moving forward, so with that, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Larry, township manager, want to say anything?
Yes, we're gonna
Oh.
let her say something.
Sure. Just thank you for the confidence you've put in me for all the decisions you made tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
I'll make a motion, we, call, we're at, at 8:47.
Okay, we need a support.
Support.
Been moved and supported that we adjourn at 8:47. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.